So after high school, so you went to year 6.
Yeah.
I mean after public schools.
Yeah, you went to year 1 in high school.
Yep. First form.
First form.
And so did you go straight to Griffith High then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what year was Griffith? What year were you first in high school? Oh, it's different, but
God, I don't.
making it hard, please.
What was it?
What year was it when you first went to high school?
Oh my God.
I don't.
1950?
I was only
You would have been 12 or 13.
1950?
About 1950 it would have been.
Yeah.
I think that because I was
49.
talking to some kids, I do a bit of talking out in Griffith, you know, and we were at Griffith High School. Shut up.
I didn't do it. It was Bo and Shirley.
And I was at the high school talking one day to the kids, and they were going on this and that and how long, we didn't know, and a lot of other talk was got up, and how they went to Griffith High School, and I said, no, I'm not going to say when I was to Griffith High School, because that was over 70 years ago or something.
I only went for 2 years.
Did you? I went for 3, but then it only went to 5.
40.
Year 5, didn't it?
Yeah.
There was no year 6 school,
No.
it was only went to year 5.
Yeah. Oh, right. At the public.
No, high school.
Oh, high school.
No.
Yeah, well, it was the year 10. What do they call that?
Fourth form. Fourth form.
Year 10 was 4th form.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something anyway.
So what about any teachers from Griffith High? Do you remember any of those?
Oh.
Yeah, I hated Mr. Chapman, because he was an old... and if he had a thing there, you know, what do you call it?
Duster.
Which rubbed
Blackboard
the-
duster.
Cane.
And the
Cane.
kids played up, he'd throw it at it. He was
Oh,
horrible.
duster.
Blackboard duster.
Yeah, old Duster, yeah. And he was horrible.
Yeah, I can't
But
remember.
only one teacher was Norman Gloyd, and I found out for years later that Ed was married to Gloyd very many years ago, and I was related to him, but I didn't know. He probably didn't either. So, and there was Mr. Biddle, Mr. Gloyd, I can't think of him anymore.
The only one I can think of is Miss Howie.
Oh, she was the
She-
mistress, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
She nice?
Oh, and Miss...
She was nice too, she was
Yeah.
nice.
I can't
And I
think-
was. Wasn't I?
I can't think of the ones. It was the teachers.
No, I can't think of any more teachers.
So what about like with family? You grew up, and then I know you had dad, and what about yourself? How many kids and
2 girls,
2 girls?
Shirley and Leslie.
Troublemakers.
And grandkids?
I've got 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, and I've got 3 that's great grands. I've got 1, 2.
2 grandsons, 1 granddaughter.
3 grandsons and 1 great granddaughter. Yeah.
And are they around here, around this area?
No, 2 is up in granddaughter and great grandsons are in Queensland,
Oh, far away. Yeah.
and the others are in Griffith.
Okay. So do you see them often?
No, not really.
Not really. No. That's okay. Well, so if you think back around, sort of like Darlington Point, and what are some memories that you you come up with that just remind you of, you know, growing up, and it could be middle, like, you know, 30, 40 years old. You know, what are some memories that stick out?
How did you learn to swim? Who taught you to swim?
Oh, the copper. Yeah, there was you remember Lawson?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Roy
yeah.
Lawson?
Yeah.
He used to get 3 or 4 of us kids from this side of the river and take us down to what we used to call the dip, down behind Finley's. it was had a clay thing.
Clay band.
Yeah. And he used to make he'd piggyback you out to the deepest part of the river, and he'd dump you,
And go swim.
and then you had to find your way, get your way back as best as you could. Well, that's when we learned to dog paddle, and then from when you could dog paddle, well, that's when he taught us to swim properly. Yeah, every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't do it until he finished reading all the comics in the Sunday paper. But no, he was good. He taught a lot of kids on this side of the river to swim.
Mm-hmm. So are there any stories that you guys might know that you might be able to throw in to help?
What you used to do when you went to dances and stuff like that.
Oh,
when you
yeah.
and Dad first got together.
Yeah, we used to go to a lot of dances here and in Witten
Mm-hmm.
and balls. And Doug bought when we first married, Doug bought a long time after we were married, Doug bought a little Plymouth car. It was a two-seater in the front and a little dicky seat at the back. And when we used to go to Witten, we used to have about 4 in the front and about 4 or 5 in the back.
Well, there was no seatbelts though.
No seat belts.
No restrictions or anything.
No.
We did what we wanted to do.
Yeah. We used to cart a lot of our friends, or a few of our friends, up to the balls and the dances in Witten. Yeah.
So
And
what
then-
kind? Oh, sorry.
And then when the kids came along, we still went to the dances, but we had Shirley in the pram and Leslie sort of tagging along, but there was a room up at the hall and they used to have a fire, and we used to settle the kids down in there
And go with it.
and go and dance, and everybody'd look after you, after the
Yeah.
kids, and if they started to cry, or we'd just go in and settle them down, and yeah.
I hear a lot of stories about a lot of dances and things that used to happen at the hall.
Yeah.
Was that a every weekend thing or every
No,
just every now and then?
Every now, wasn't it?
we had a lot of
Maybe
Deb's
once a-
balls
yeah.
in there. Sunshine Club
Yeah,
used to do
that's
a
when.
few
Well, that was the
sunshine.
only hall we had in the place
Yeah,
until the club arrived.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
but no, everything was in that hall. Pictures, dances,
School breakups.
breakups,
Yeah.
concerts,
Presentations, everything.
everything, yeah. Mrs. Lawrence put on concerts,
Yeah, and Zilla. Yeah.
Zilla, yeah.
So when you say pictures, you did like a projector,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people put it on.
yeah.
Beyond the hall now where it is, there was a big
room at the
room
back.
out there.
Mhm.
And the holes in the back wall, that's where the
Yeah.
lights used to come through. And down near the big front door, that was
Where
the
the
screen
screen
board.
was, yeah.
Yeah, and
Used to cost us, if you wanted to sit upstairs,
yeah, up on the stage.
up on the stage, I think it cost us about 20 cents and the other was 10 cents to go down the bottom.
And I remember Laurie King, when we lived up there, we had that old ute of his, bigger than the usual ute, but
Yeah.
not as big as the biggest one.
Yeah.
And after the picture closed, all us kids used to belt out the door and race over and jump onto the back of his ute to get a ride over this home. Anyway, he moved it once and we all ran out looking for it and we couldn't find it, but somebody spotted and we all jumped on it, legs hanging over the side. It was
No,
good.
we just walked. Like
Now
when we
I've
were
got
kids
a ride home.
When we were kids, we just met at the corner up here,
Yeah.
and we used to just all go to the pictures. That was before we were
I
married.
remember there was one night there was movies on and Marcy wanted to go, Restless wasn't. I guess she was a cowboy kid, wasn't she?
I don't know.
And around our place, that the floods of water just started and there
Yeah.
was flood water between us and the bridge. But she went on and on and on and I got sick of it. I said, come on then. And like an idiot, I put her on my back and walked through the flood water. But she went to the movies, so
Yeah.
that was all well.
Yeah.
And we used to ride our little horse through the flood water. And oh, gee, she was a cow, but then if she fell off, she took me and Pam with her. She wouldn't let us go. If she fell, the three of us fell. It was only a little pony,
Yeah.
but it was good. And I loved
There
it.
used to be a fella from Tubbo, and he used to sometimes he'd ride a horse into the pitches or the dances, and sometimes he used to have this little sulky.
Yeah.
And because there was a rail there, and he used to tie the horse up to the rail. Anyway, this particular time he come out to go home and couldn't find his horse. Some of the older fellas had whitewashed it. And instead of the brown horse that he was looking for, it was white.
Oh, God.
Anyway, he eventually, I don't know how he come to know that it was, but then another time they'd done, he had a whitey looking, different sort of a colour horse in a sulky, so they spray painted him or washed, whatever you do, with brown. So he was looking for the other horse, and it was a brown horse, and he couldn't get the sulky. They had it tied up that tight that he couldn't get it undone. Oh, I can't remember what his name
Terrible
was.
kid, wasn't he?
I wasn't in it, but this was the older generation.
They did it that today.
That was in our
We'd be
brother's
so
time.
mad with them, it'd be so bad, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And you look and say, oh, they need a bloody whip around them or something. And we did it ourselves, so.
I know Jack was in amongst these other blokes that used to do that.
And it'd be Charlie Bruff, because
Charlie
he was
Bruff,
the
yeah.
devil of a bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He used to work down at Ross's with Daddy, my father.
Yeah.
And they had this, Mike somebody was an Irishman, and he used to work with them.
Oh, yeah.
So they said one day they was tossing a rubber ball up there and she could hit it far with the heads. So it was Charlie Bruff's turn to throw the ball up, and it was Mike's turn to hit the ball with his head, but Charlie Bruff threw up a cricket ball, and it hit Charlie on the up. No, and he said, poor Mike was staggering all over the place. Oh, he was bad, that Charlie Bruff.
Can't get pointing the finger.
Nice bloke.
Dobbing on people.
But
So-
we had our laughs, didn't
Yeah,
we,
of course.
Never?
We didn't do anything that wasn't legal.
No, everything was legal, but we
Yeah.
did.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, it was in our days.
Yeah.
I don't know about now.
Well, if any kids got into trouble, well, who was the copper then? He used to just give them a kick up the backside and took them home.
Yeah, they were, coppers were different then, weren't
Yeah. Oh, can't think what his name was.
But there's a lot of white nice ones still around. I mean,
Yeah.
out there with Tony Burke's the great and some of the coppers. But we had one and I thought, oh God, I don't like you. And he was all real serious faced and you'd be frightened just to look at him, but he didn't even speak to you.
Yeah.
But I ended up looking after his kids and babysitting his kids up the other end when I moved up the other end of town. It wasn't so bad at all, so I said to the boy, you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, that's
Because
true.
he was a nice bloke. But I do it anyway, so.
Yeah.
So, have you always lived over this side of the river?
Yeah, I went from down there to here,
Okay, so that's all.
and that's where I stopped.
That's it. Oh,
2 houses.
that's pretty good. And what about you, Nan?
I've been
She's been all
everywhere.
everywhere.
This side of town, that side of town. Moved to Griffith for 3 years. I loved it. I loved living out in Griffith. And
So, do you consider yourself?
Huh?
Do you consider yourself like still this side of the river? Like you still
Oh,
think you're that
of
type of
course,
person?
this is home, eh? Always
Yeah.
will be. Even the old place down there, we never go down there now. Tony used to take us down to have a barbecue every now and again. The old place where we lived, but he cut that off too.
Yeah.
Well, when we were looking down there not long ago, you were saying it's totally different to what it used to be like. With the hills, there's like old metal, scrap metal everywhere.
Oh,
and-
well, people just dumped down there before where we were at. Our old place was, not further.
Yeah.
The tin was just dumped there, you know.
And so, how much time would like you guys spend over that area where Nan and that used to live?
Well, I used to spend a lot of time down with Betty,
Mhm.
down at your old place.
Well, Sam and Pay and all them, Sam, you know, and They all seem to come down home. We had the oldest place in the point, but everybody, they all gathered there.
Yeah.
And there was none of that bush and that what's there now. It was quite good, actually. Never see it again, Jean.
No.
Really, never.
Everything's too built up now. But yeah, so as the years have gone by and things have sort of gone on, what do you think? What do you feel about Darlington Point these days? Is it still like it? You still like living here?
Of course it is.
yeah.
I'd
I wouldn't
come
know
back.
half
Katie and Carolyn come back, I'd come back any day.
Yeah.
But I didn't grip it. It was lovely.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the people I worked with. I did a lot of volunteer work and I
Yeah.
loved the people out there that I used to work with, and it was great.
Point has changed a lot though, because there's so many people that I don't
gee,
know.
So many people I
Yeah.
don't know. And I say to Marcy, who are those people, Marcy?
Yeah,
I don't know. We
hardly
don't know.
anybody.
There's so many strangers.
Only for the old, the old ones,
Yeah.
the
Well,
regular ones. But
You
I
must
wouldn't
admit it, there's not too many of us left.
have- No.
In the point, they've taken it from us.
So are there any things around town that they still do? Any activities or things for people
to do now.
Anything that you do?
Your clubs.
Jean was
Oh.
always stuck at the club. She worked in the school when she left school.
Oh yeah,
And grew up. She was always working there.
I done a lot of work for the school. I was in the P&C.
Yeah.
Done a lot of tuck shop work.
Mhm.
I used to go and help them with their sports when the kids are there.
Yep.
And the
And
Sunshine Club.
I'm in the
You
Sunshine
was with?
Club, over 50s.
So what's the Sunshine Club?
The Sunshine Club.
Yeah. What is it?
Oh, it was a group of them all around, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
I think.
Yeah, but
we're-
what do they
just
do?
The young bloke. He
Yeah, I
doesn't
know nothing
anything
about it.
the Sunshine
Oh.
Club.
they don't know anything about the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
They used to have a radio show
Okay.
Years and years
and they
ago.
used to call it the Sunshine Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Darlington Point had a branch of it, Griffith had it.
We're the only branch around here now that's still going.
Sort of like the Red Cross.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be 60 years old next year in March.
What's that, the?
The Sunshine Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the Far West, you worked with that,
I
didn't you?
worked
Far
for the
West
Far
Hospital
West.
in Sydney.
And I worked for the Red Cross. I still work for the Red Cross and go to respite.
Yeah.
So she's quite a busy lady.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh,
We do.
nobody knows sometimes. So.
Yeah, so with things like the over 50s, like what kinds of things do you do?
Oh, the over 50s, it's just a group.
Yep.
We go to the club on every second Monday morning at 10 o'clock, have a cuppa,
Yep.
and we have, we just have a bit of like a raffle,
Yep.
and
Just to get together for the oldies, basically.
yeah, just for the over 50s.
Bit of
Yeah.
community and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Raise a bit of money for charities.
Yeah. No, we don't. No, we don't. We're not a charity.
Mhm.
We just raise money for our. We have a Christmas party
Yeah.
at the end of the year. But the Sunshine Club, they raise money for like charity, but we don't give them as much money now that we used to. This is where you should have had Jean Jones, because she's well up in the Sunshine Club.
Yeah.
But
Good
you
to
did
you.
just about everything with different clubs. You were in them all,
Oh
most of them anyway.
Most of them.
Yeah.
well, but yeah.
So she's been a very busy lady growing up. I think so anyway.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Might be only me
slowing
and you
down
will
now,
agree,
girl.
but we don't care.